I shared a little bit amongst ourselves about our early lives. And he asked me what I enjoyed as a child. And I showed him Cecil the sea serpent. Because I used to watch Cecil all the time, and I could still hear him yelling, "Coming, Beanie Boy!" But I related to Beanie, and so he began to call me Beanie for Beanie. Well, back here in the desert now, he said, Beanie. And I said, without even saying it aloud, his name in return, he looked at me, and the equipment was sitting in front of us, and there was an area that I thought was a wall. I thought it was concrete or mud, and it just looked flat gray. It wasn't a wall. It was a barrier of some variety, which was a doorway which was open. Excuse me, I was standing probably within 40, 50 feet of it. Couldn't feel anything unusual. You don't feel anything, like that wall there. You don't get an unusual feeling from being around a wall. Well, that's what it looked like. I didn't feel any electrostatic discharge or anything like that. There was a communication effort going on, and hopefully they've stopped it by now, but there was a communication effort going on between we and over time, over the event horizon of time, if you will, to his home. And he was being used as an interpreter. He had been flown there and was in the self-contained stroller, which could be moved very easily. It was set up basically as one of those IT scooters, where all you have to do is rock the scooter and it will move in that direction. It's very easily moved. And depending upon how hard you push on it, it changes the velocity of the stroller. I was asked to be present with him because I was trusted not to misinform the Majestic personnel about what the communication was, because as he was doing the communication, I could feel in him what he was doing, and I was supposed to be feeling for deception on his part. And I'm not prepared to discuss what the nature of the communication was that day. I'll say that it has to do with national security of more than one nation. First and foremost, of course, our own. As he was doing this communication, in between, I heard him say, B&E. I go home, and I looked over at him, and I said to him without speaking that I had not been informed that he was going to be traveling home. And he said, no, B&E, you take me home. The military who was present there understood that there was a problem almost instantly, because I started looking. They said, is he being deceptive? And I said, no, he's in pain. Well, he was in emotional pain at the time. And then he began telling me about his physical pain, so I started feeling it again. And I told him, I said, Kayla, I can't. And he said, B&E, you take me home. You love me. And then he said, he told me I was his friend. I then said, no, no, no. And I stepped around in the back of the stroller, and the communication continued, and then he continued writing. The inside of the stroller was set up with a writing pad, and what they do to write, the same as in their normal culture, is they have both a film and a light projection device above a two-dimensional photoreceptive plate. They then move their hands, and their three-dimensional movement of hands is the actual consonant-type letters whereas the shadow that they then show on the plate becomes a strip above the three-dimensional presentation, which acts as vowels in their language. In other words, they don't, like you've heard these recent disinformation guys coming out with this, trying to portray them as though there was some sort of height challenged monks that do a bunch of tonal chanting. That's all ridiculous. I waited for the communication to get done, and he said, Bieni, you take me home now. And then he called me what he used to call himself. Bieni, you captive? And I said aloud, nope. And I shoved forward on the, over the screams, almost immediate screams, and including locking and loading of automatic weapons at the time. I shoved forward on the stroller as hard as I could, running the back of the stroller, and right toward the wall. I saw him for a moment look at me, and he smiled as best as he could smile, and he said, "Bieni, friend, send me home." And then I fell in. I was alone for a moment in what appeared to be a gray mist type of a place, environment. Not that different from when I was in a coma after being hit over the head. I thought I died, so I began to panic. And I called his name out because I thought if I can't get back to where I was, maybe I could save my rear end by moving forward. And the next thing, I was sitting on a plate, it was a block really, but it was very thin. It was made from old construction material, ancient Egyptian type construction material, blocks that had been hewn. 20, 30, 40 yards away. And then I noticed the military noticed where I was and drew down on me, telling me not to move, until the Majestic personnel that were present there said, "No, that's Burisch." And they just stared at me, very unhappy with me, but they never said a word to me. It went like that. I got up. I thought, oh, Christ, they're going to shoot me now. And I was loaded back into the Humvee that they had there and taken to the airport and transported back home. So we went home. A device which can harbor or connect to the natural wormholes that exist, whatever they truly are. Again, I'm not a physicist. Now, if we do not have them turned on or put together here on Earth, we will not be drawing energy from our own star when the time that our own star, the sun, actually passes through the higher energetic areas. Why do you think they were called stargates?
The thing that a lot of people have been commenting about, and I think it's worth bringing up just briefly, is that there are natural, quote-unquote, stargates that exist. There are, and
so-called vortices where
now when we bob up through this area of energetics, those will naturally function. There will be a certain amount of energy that is aimed right into our planet, but it's a natural amount that our planet is supposedly able to handle.
It will flow through. It's kind of the difference between a bird on an electrical wire, where the energy will pass naturally through the bird and back into the wire, because it's passing through the wire as well that the bird is standing on. But if you clip the wire between the two feet of the bird, then all of the energy will pass through the bird, and you will have one very exploded bird. Right. Well, what it's doing is it's allowing, if we do not perturb it, it's allowing the natural energy to flow through us, flow through our world, without directing it to ground.
But if we tip the balance and think that we're smarter than we are,
then we're going to die.
Then we're going to overload the system.
Mm-hmm.
And that, in my understanding, is what is going to be the thing that pushes us into the cataclysmic areas.
Yes, 2/3 of the human race.
That we don't want to go there for the energetic.
And that's one of the reasons, not the only reasons, but one of the reasons why we disassembled Saddam Hussein's government. Right. He often spoke about having a key, if you will, some sort of a gem or whatever that would access great power. And he's handing these things out like they were party favors around the Middle East, Northern Africa, and even into Russia and China. The Russians have taken care of what they needed to take care of, and hopefully the Chinese have. We believe that we've got mutual understanding with that. And the ones that he handed off to Northern Africa, the particular person to whom he handed 2 of these units, or at least plans for them, I believe the units themselves, though, as I understand, was approached and basically told, we will make you the most popular dude that you can ever be in Libya. Mm-hmm. You will be richer beyond avarice. Mm-hmm. Just hand these over, and we're going to turn you into a hero. Don't worry about Lockerbie. Don't worry about those bombing situations. We're going to make you rich beyond avarice. We'll take care of you. And he said, oh, sure, no problem. And he handed them over, and now he's just lauded up and down the, I think he's even, his country is even participating now as one of the human rights adjudicators for the UN. Uh-huh. Yeah, Muammar had more of a brain in his head than what a lot of people, gave him credit for. He knew to hand them over immediately, that or we were going to take him over. Mm-hmm. We were going to enter in by force and take it.
Well, there's no other way for us to get through this event that's coming, unless we simply allow the natural ones that exist to exist without any additions.
Exactly.
And if we can manage, this is one of the biggest things that we have been working on to try to get under containment. Mm-hmm. This is why I say that we're working so very, very hard to try to make sure that the catastrophe that could happen somehow gets averted.
Exactly.
And a lot of people have been misunderstanding that.
And that 2/3 of humanity might go in an instant. It might go over a period of 100 years. But it would ultimately, according to the timeline that they know, the J-Rods know and the Orions know, it would ultimately cost 4 billion lives. Now, I'm willing to work day and night to prevent that.
Why we have been working day and night.
That's right. It's called busting your hump over something that's more important than anything else that you can possibly imagine, the future of humanity.